recharged T8 plug-in hybrid version of Volvo's XC60 mid-sized premium SUV combines turbocharging, supercharging and electrification for potentially astonishing efficiency returns, despite this Swedish crossover's huge power output. There's a significant price to pay for this technology, and you'll need to tailor your motoring life to suit what this car can offer, but if you can deal with these caveats, then this is a potentially very likeable package.
Quite a few brands have only recently jumped aboard the plug-in hybrid bandwagon, but Volvo has long planned for it. The company's current petrol and diesel cars are all based around a single 2-litre 4-cylinder engine block unveiled by Volvo's then R&D chief Peter Mertens way back in 2011. It was a configuration fundamentally designed around the requirements for plug-in tech, and as a result, Volvo was quickly able to launch plug-in electrified versions of all its larger models, including the XC60 mid-sized SUV that we feature here. Since then, plug-in variants of rival Audi Q5, BMW X3 and Mercedes GLC rival SUVs have also hit the market. So can this XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid still appeal in that company? Let's find out. Under the bonnet of a recharged plug-in hybrid all-wheel drive X60 model, you'll find a 2-litre turbocharged and supercharged petrol engine, which is mated to an 87 horsepower electric motor sited on the back axle. The main power plant comes in 3 levels of output: 253 HP for the base recharged T6, 303 HP for the recharged T8, and 318 HP for the top recharged T8 Polestar engineered version. In each case, the setup is aided by a 25 HP starter motor generator, which pitches in from time to time to smooth any gaps in torque delivery between the two main power sources. It's all enough to deliver a set of stats that it's rather hard to get your head around. In the case of the standard T8 variant that most XC60 plug-in hybrid customers choose, that's the one we're trying here incidentally, an enormous 407 brake horsepower combined power output offsets the extra weight of all those mechanicals, so 62 miles an hour from rest can still be dispatched in just 5.3 seconds on the way to 140 miles an hour. Yet there is also the potential for the kind of fuel and CO2 readings that theoretically could equal those of a frugal Super Mini. Which of those two extremes you reach in an XC60 T8 will depend on your choice between the 5 driving settings that owners of all XC60 plug-in hybrid models are offered. Ultimate speed is delivered by a power mode, which sees both the petrol and the electric units permanently working together. Alternatively, there are 4 other drive choices. There's a hybrid setting that sees the 2 engines cutting in and out as necessary, an all-wheel drive mode which gives you permanent 4x4 traction, plus a pure electric setting that only uses the battery power and can take you up to 28 miles. That is, mind you, more than most people's daily commuting distance on a single charge. There is even a save option so that on a longer trip you can hold on to that charge until you get to the city driving that you might have to do at the end of the journey. This recharged plug-in hybrid model looks pretty much identical to the more conventional petrol and diesel variants lower down the range. The eagle-eyed will spot special badging and an extra charging flap, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's pretty much standard XC60, which means there's a longer bonnet than a rival Audi Q5 and a longer roofline too. At first glance, with this second generation XC60, much seems similar to its larger XC90 showroom stablemate. Here at the side though, the differences between the two SUVs become more obvious. Although this car is only 9mm narrower than its bigger stablemate, dimensions that see it 261mm shorter and 118mm lower make it clearly a more compact and sportier proposition. There's absolutely no doubt as to the brand origins here at the front, where the unusual LED front headlights immediately catch your eye. Their so-called Hammer of Thor design, emphasized by distinct hammer-shaped daytime lighting guides, which also flash orange when you indicate. Now these flank a chrome-framed front grille, which is complete with Volvo's traditional iron mark logo at its centre. Further down is a subtler lower grille, which is flanked by corner cutouts at the edges here. Move to the rear and there's a look that, if you know your premium SUVs, could only belong to a Volvo, thanks to these 3D tail lights, which emphasize the body shoulder line and border the tailgate, flowing up into this smart roof-mounted spoiler. Lower down, twin exhaust pipes with chromed sleeves poke from either side of the rear skid plate in what the Swedish maker hopes is a potent finishing touch. Of course, as usual, what's more important is the stuff that you can't see, and that's basically the same SPA scalable product architecture underpinnings that you'll find in all Volvo's modern era larger models. Now that structure that the SPA platform sits on is certainly very advanced. 40% of it is fashioned from hot-formed boron steel, and that's the strongest found in the motor industry. No other brand uses as much of this very safe, very strong metal. Let's take a seat up front, where high quality materials, intelligent use of space and attention to detail work together to create a distinctly Scandinavian cabin that's simple and elegant. Now the first thing you'll probably notice is this 9-inch portrait style touchscreen on the center console, which declutters the cabin of its usual buttons and gives it a classy, sophisticated air, emphasized by intricate detailing and rich Scandinavian design. There's more technology in the instrument binnacle, where the normal conventional dials and readouts have been replaced by virtual ones in an active TFT crystal driver's information display. At the wheel you sit lower than you would do in an XC90, and as you'd expect, there are plenty of cabin resemblances to that larger SUV, especially when it comes to the dashboard with those screens, plus the seats and the upholstery. There's nothing to distinguish this as a PHEV unless you drill down into the center monitor menus, where eventually you'll find a neat but rather small energy flow diagram showing in real time what's being powered by what. Overall, we reckon this cabin's something of an aesthetic triumph. It's immaculately made and full of premium touches like this diamond cut start-stop control switch and the slatted cover for this center dash compartment. Look around you and the intricate detailing continues. Carpets that are inspired by thick Swedish rugs, interior colours influenced by the Scandinavian landscape, and superbly comfortable seats which can be specified to heat, ventilate or massage you with power adjustable side support and front cushion extensions. And through it all, charismatic little signs of brand heritage are never far away. The little Swedish flag that's sewn into the driver's seat stitching, and there's another one embossed onto the passenger side of the dash. In the back, 2 adults should be very comfortable and 3 would fit at a pinch. There is also a really unique touch, concealed storage compartments under the rear seat bases, which are just the right size to store electronic devices like a tablet out of sight. There is a central 12-volt connectivity port. A USB point would be more useful, but the design of this central armrest is lovely, with integrated storage and pop-out cup holders. Seat back nets also feature. Out back there is a 468 litre boot. That's down from 483 litres in the conventional model. Plus there's another issue in that you lose underfloor storage. There's just this shallow forward area here. Still, there is a netted left-hand corner stowage area, and at least there's a standard ski hatch, so you can push longer items like skis through from the boot without disturbing a couple of rear-seated folk. If you need more room, folding the rear bench releases up to 1,395 litres of space, and that's down from 1,410 litres in the conventionally engined XC60. You'll have expected there to be a price to pay to add in sophisticated plug-in tech to the XC60, but you might not have expected it to take the price of this Volvo right up into the £58,000 to £63,000 bracket, but that's a reality here. For the T8 version of this recharge model, there are R-Design Pro and Inscription Pro trim levels, plus there's a unique Polestar engineered version of the T8 plug-in hybrid. If you need to pay a little less, the slightly lesser powered recharged T6 plug-in hybrid version of this model is priced from around £50,000. To give you some XC60 range perspective, the least expensive B4 and B5 mild hybrid diesel and B5 and B6 mild hybrid petrol all-wheel drive models cost from around £42,000, but the difference in price to this recharge version will be less than that if you specified those variants up to match the least expensive XC60 PHEV variant's level of trim. This car's most direct mid to large segment premium badged SUV plug-in hybrid rivals are the Audi Q5 TFSIe, the BMW X3 xDrive 30e and the Mercedes GLC 300e. Conceivably also the DS7 Crossback E10's 4x4. All these alternatives are comparably priced. It helps Volvo's cause against these competitors that every version of this PHEV XC60 is very well equipped. As standard, even entry-level variants come with leather-faced upholstery, LED headlights with active high beam, two-zone climate control with a clean zone air filtration system, heated front seats, a powered tailgate and alloy wheels of at least 18 inches in size. Volvo's Sensus infotainment system is also standard. Now this brings a 9-inch portrait-style touchscreen, satellite navigation and an intuitive voice activation system. It also provides access to the internet and a range of cloud-based apps such as Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher and Yelp. Volvo's city safety system is fitted to every XC60. This includes automatic emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and large animal detection and the world's first application of steer assist. Now this feature helps to avoid or limit the severity of collisions at low speeds by assisting with the steering in an emergency, such as when you're swerving to miss an obstacle. There's also pilot assist, Volvo's innovative semi-autonomous drive feature. This assists with the steering up to 80 miles an hour and takes care of the acceleration and braking required to keep the car within lane markings and at the desired cruising speed or distance from any vehicle in front. The Recharge plug-in XC60 variants achieve an all-electric driving range of around 35 miles. That's assuming you limit yourself to the car's pure all-EV mode. As for the WLTP fuel and CO2 stats, well, the standard Recharge T6 plug-in hybrid manages up to 122.7 mpg and up to 54 grams per kilometre. And the standard Recharge T8 plug-in hybrid manages up to 117.5 mpg and up to 56 grams per kilometre. For the T8 Polestar engineered variant, the figures are up to 94 miles per gallon and 69 grams per kilometre. Is it worth stretching to this plug-in model rather than one of the more conventionally engined mild hybrid XC60 variants? Well, you decide. To give you some XC60 range perspective, a B5 all-wheel drive petrol model manages bests of 38.2 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 168 grams per kilometre of CO2, and a B5 all-wheel drive diesel variant manages bests of 45.6 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 161 grams per kilometre of CO2. On the move in this Volvo, a fuel consumption graph on the centre dash infotainment screen allows you to monitor your ongoing frugality, and the same display can also show an energy flow monitor which can visually brief you at any given time as to what's being powered by what. As with any plug-in hybrid, there's little point in purchase unless you establish a regular recharging regime for the battery pack, which in this case is 11.6 kilowatt hours in size. Customers will be able to buy a wall box from Volvo, which will charge their cars on 16 amp power in about 2.5 hours. If you're out and about and you find a 10 amp public charging point, the charging time will be slightly longer, 3.5 hours, while connecting up to a normal domestic 3-pin 6 amp supply will take 6 hours. The important thing, of course, is that the government believes the Fantasyland CO2 stats, so business users will be able to write down as much as 100% of the cost of an XC60 T8 against their tax liability, and a 40% taxpayer could be driving this variant while incurring a BIK tax bill of no more than around £100 a month. Now, if you're a business buyer browsing in this segment, these are figures that'll reward a bit of thought if you're just about to sign blindly on the dotted line for a conventional 6-cylinder diesel model from a rival brand. The sort of sensible buyer likely to be considering an XC60 is, we think, likely to be sorely tempted by this plug-in hybrid version. The combination of low taxation and the potential for virtually fuel-free commuting mileage is, as with any model of this type, a tempting one. And when you match it to this car's class-leading safety standards and cool Scandinavian vibe, the resulting package offers a refreshing alternative to rival German-branded SUVs. But the asking figures are substantial, and in an era where government assistance is absent, you'd have to be very sold on the plug-in remit here to opt for this recharge model. After all, if you merely want your premium luxury mid-sized SUV to be in some way electrified, Volvo offers very acceptable mild hybrid petrol and diesel versions of this car lower down the range. We think those mildly electrified variants might be a better pick for many customers, but if you have to have technological superiority in your XC60, only the recharge variants offer it.